This is YG-TV in the YG stage, powered by Circle Electric and sponsored by Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Bellbank Mortgage. I'm your host, Andy Wines, president of GreenUp Solutions, here on set at Serendipity Labs. YG Stage is one of 4 shows here on YG-TV. On the stage, we feature business owners, CEOs, and thought leaders to inspire, influence, and break the rules of business. Young Guns is a growing group of entrepreneurs and free thinkers that are sharing new ways to grow your business, build your brand, and make an impact. If you like what you see here, be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to our podcast, and never miss a single episode of YG-TV. Today, we welcome John Scott. John is a global sales trainer, an inspirational speaker, and in his own words, a stand-up comedian. We'll meet John Scott right after a short break. Circle Electric is a 35-year-old commercial, industrial, and healthcare electrical contractor with engineers and designers on staff, backed by the most technical and well-trained master and journeyman electricians. Whether it's an equipment move, new building, or commercial remodel, from pre-construction all the way through startup, primary power, branch power, or low-voltage systems, we're here to support you. Our 24/7 on-call service department is here to meet your electrical needs for our industrial and healthcare customers. You always hear safety first. We are safety always. Circle Electric will maintain electrical reliability for business continuity.
Fleet Farm has everything you need for every season of life. From tending the vegetable garden season to planting 100 acres of crops season. Fleet Farm is your one-stop shop. Whether it's strawberry jam season, cook your walleye season, or his first set of wheels season. Fleet Farm is built for every season. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
For more than 80% of families, today's medical billing practices are confusing. At HPS, our goal is to improve the healthcare experience for the patient by making medical bill payments less stressful. In Wisconsin, that's all made possible by our comprehensive independent healthcare provider network. We simplify billing and lower costs for everyone involved in healthcare and offer various ways for individuals to pay without breaking the bank.
Let's welcome John to the stage. How are you, sir?
Great, Andy. How you doing?
Good, good. So what are we talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about listening and intentional listening.
I'm not really good at that. And I'm assuming a lot of people here aren't also great at that.
Absolutely true.
We all know it's important, but how or why, how is your listening lesson better than others I've heard in the past?
Well, I think that listening is the key to everything. You know, I come from sales, I do a lot of sales training, and salespeople love to talk.
It's true.
But the one thing they aren't as good at is listening. And the ones that are truly great are ones that are really good at active listening and understanding the customers and understanding with the people they're talking to.
I will get more out of this than probably most, because I'm always actively listening to respond, not actually listening. And these are talking, I'm like, what am I going to say next? Oh, I got this in mind. So excellent. All right. So I'm going to sit over there.
Okay.
I'm going to actively listen, and I'm going to learn about listening.
That sounds great.
Appreciate it, John.
All right. Thanks a lot.
The stage is yours.
Thank you. Listening changes everything. Now, I know it's a bold statement to make, but I really do believe that listening makes all the difference. Now, today I'm going to talk a little bit about becoming a great intentional listener. And the difference between being an intentional listener and just being a casual listener is an intentional listener, someone who is truly focused on the person that's speaking. Now, we all want to be heard, don't we? Look at social media. Everybody's talking, but nobody's listening. Everybody has something to say, but nobody's being heard. See, when we are heard, there are three things that happen. And the first thing that happens when we feel like we're really heard is we're validated. Validation is a big thing, isn't it? That's kind of why they invented the like button. Like button is just a little mini version of, I validate you. But not really. It's not the same thing as somebody taking time and listening to you and really validating you. And the second thing you feel when you feel heard is you feel accepted. That's huge right now. Everybody wants to be accepted. Everybody wants to be liked. They want to be accepted. And the third thing people feel when they really feel heard is they feel respected. Being respected is a big thing. And somebody taking the time to respect you is huge. Now, for me, listening is a personal thing. And the reason it is that my mother was a fantastic listener. She's the best listener I've ever known. And the reason why is a couple things. She would always create space. So if I said, I like to talk sometime. Okay, let's do it right now. It wasn't like, well, I'll pull up my phone, let me see. Well, when I was a kid, there wasn't phones. But a lot of phones say, look, I can pencil you in next week Thursday for about 15 minutes. Probably have a conference call, make that 10 minutes. No, it's like, we're stopping right now, we're doing it, let's do this. So she would create space. The other thing she would do is create time. Whatever time I wanted to talk, she would take the time. And we weren't on the clock. It wasn't the feeling that you get sometimes when you talk to people and they're kind of like, or they're looking at their phone going, I got something else. I got a hard stop. That's a phrase I've heard the last couple of years. I got a hard stop in 15 minutes, a hard stop. Well, there was no hard stop with my mom. She would just listen. And it was huge. And the other thing that was huge is my mom never felt the need to respond with a solution. Now, sometimes as a stereotype, as guys, we want to do what? We want to be fixers. We're like, you know what you need to do? You need to do this. Or if you were smart, you would do this, which is one of my favorite responses. She would never do that. She would just let me process, and she would let me talk. She would talk back and forth, but she primarily let me talk. And she would just create time. I remember I used to call my mom when I'd be driving, and I'd be on these trips, and I'd just had these long road trips, and I'd call her, I'd be talking to her. One time I was talking to her for an hour, and at some point I finally stopped and go, hey Mom, what are you doing right now? She goes, well, I'm sitting in the parking lot at Kmart. I'm like, what are you doing in the parking lot at Kmart? And she goes, well, you wanted to talk. So she would just create that time. So that's why it's really personal for me, is why listening is so key. So if we acknowledge the fact that listening is important, and this is something I like to teach sales teams, is to listen. Because as salespeople, we love to talk, don't we? That's why we're in sales. We like to talk, we want to share ideas. But to really listen, that's what I teach. There's 3 keys, beginning keys, to start to become a great intentional listener. And the first one is to be present. Now, what does that mean to be present? You showed up, I'm present, okay, you got it, check. No, to be present is like, I'm going to focus on you, and the rest of the room, I'm going to let fade away. This is just going to be about you. I'm not, my cell phone's in my pocket, it's silenced. I'm not looking at the squirrel outside the window, I'm just focused on you. It's to be present. And the second thing that we need to do is to embrace the silence. Now that sounds funny, and it particularly sounds odd when you were talking about a salesperson, because one thing a salesperson doesn't want is silence. They want to be chatty. They have the gift for gab. But embracing the silence is when you're talking to somebody and you're fully present with them, sometimes there's going to be silence. They're going to be kind of thinking of their thoughts. And we feel the need to fill that in with sound, right? Well, also, you might consider this. Here's a perfect example. In sales, there comes a moment that we call the close. This is when we get to the very end, we've done our song, done our dance, shown all the shiny things, and now we're like, so doesn't this make sense? Silence. If you start talking, you're going to ruin it. Because oftentimes salespeople are like, well, if it doesn't make sense, I could probably lower my price, or we could probably just give it to you, or I could quit my job. No, you just want to remain silent. Doesn't this make sense? And just embrace the silence. I think that is key. And the last thing that's key to do is to reflect back. Now, with reflecting, even though you've embraced the silence, even though you've been present with them, reflecting back demonstrates that I've been listening. So someone's talking and you can say, well, it sounds like what you're saying is this. My understanding of what you're saying is this. Is this true? Is this correct? And they're either going to be like, yeah, you nailed it, that's it, or no, not at all. But this is what I'm really thinking, and it gives them a chance to kind of redirect what they've been saying to you. But I think what's really cool about reflection is it gives you a chance to tell them the things we've talked about, right? By reflecting back, saying, you know what? This has been about you. I've been totally present with you. This is about me showing you respect. This is about me validating you. Because not only have I been silent, and I've been listening, but now I'm telling you I'm listening, and now I want to interpret back what I'm hearing. I remember early on in our marriage, they had taught my wife this, taught my wife and I this, woo. And what they taught us is reflective things in arguing. So in the middle of an argument, which sounds funny, but you can say, well, you said this, it sounds like you're saying this. So I remember early on in marriage, we were just newly married, and I had left a pair of underwear on my floor. So she had walked by, and she was thinking, she was flash forwarding years ahead going, this is what I'm going to have you deal with now for the next 30 years? I don't think so. So she expressed her concern, and so I said, well, it sounds like what you're saying is that you don't want me to leave my underwear on the floor. Now, 2 years later, it was still there, but the point is, we had a really good dialogue and we had reflective communication. No, it wasn't there, but it's just an example of how when we reflect back, we're bringing it all together, that we were listening, that we were showing respect, validation, acceptance, and making that person's words the most important thing in that moment. So I want to encourage you and challenge you to become great, intentional listeners. Thank you.
John, that was excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andy.
So I sat there the whole time practicing listening, which sounds weird. Okay, so we got the lessons, and I absolutely understand the importance. Now, give me a little nugget, right? How do I become a better listener? What are things I need to do to get to that point?
Well, that's a great question, Andy. I think one of the things that's key to start is to start with a friendly audience. Start with a friend.
Okay.
Because a friend will going to catch you some slack. So even if you do grab that cell phone call, even if you do look at the squirrel out the window, they're like, Andy, But if you start with a friend and focus on them, you'll notice it's a different dynamic than the normal, like what we call bar talk. Where you talk, I talk, you talk, I talk. When you're focused on it, at first they might be like, why are you so intensely, especially if it's a buddy, like, why are you staring into my eyes, But that's a good place to start, is practice, because it's kind of a no threat zone. You're not having the biggest deal in your life and you're trying to do it, you're just doing it with a friend. And you might find that you learn something from it that you never knew before.
Yeah, the whole time you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I can do this at the end of the day when I have nothing else scheduled, because I got a hard stop here, I got a hard stop there.
Yeah, we all do.
It's interesting you bring up your mother, my mom, I know I can call her and she'll give me an hour, right? Like anytime I want to vent, I want to complain, I want to talk about life, she's always there. So maybe be more like your mother's, maybe that'll be the name of the episode here, right? Be a little more like your mother, be like, what is this all about, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's truth there, that empathy, and like you also brought up with men, right? We want to solve problems, right?
Yeah.
Like, give me the nugget I need to know to solve the problem.
Right.
So is there a clue you give yourself to not jump in with a solution? Or what do you do in those moments where you think you have the answer, but the person hasn't finished their thought? What do you do there?
Well, that's a great thing, and yeah, we have to look at this as a discipline. It's not going to be something that we write down and we just master and we get it. It's a process. And the first thing I try to do, and I'm guilty of doing it all wrong, because I do want to jump in and go, all right, enough of you talking, let me fix this for you, and then you'll thank me. But if what I try to do is when I just literally almost like bite my tongue, when I want to jump in, I'll just like hold back, even though you think I know the right answer, because sometimes what I find when I listen, I realize I didn't understand the problem as like I thought I did. And so had I jumped in right there, I would have kind of missed it, and we'd been like, okay, and then the other person would be like, yeah, now I do have a hard stop.
Yeah, this lesson, I think, for business leaders, CEOs, salespeople, it's a great lesson. I think some of the best leaders I've seen can allow that silence. That you were talking about, the silence and then the restate.
Yeah.
I've struggled with that. as leaders, that's the challenge I give all of us, right? To take the time, allow that silence. We're used to go, go, go. Allow that silence to take place and then restate. Hey, if I heard you right, you said X, Y, and Z.
Oh, yeah.
Right, you said actively listening. You were talking about allowing the silence, restating the position. And then people do feel, like you said, validated. They do feel like their opinion matters, their perspective
Absolutely.
matters. And that's what we all want.
Yeah.
Whether it's social media or here standing on stage, we want to feel validated. Even like you said, you're shaking your head like, yeah, you're saying the right things. I'm listening. Like, it feels good.
I'm feeling the thumbs up coming my
Yeah,
way.
the thumbs up. Like, comment, share, right? It's all happening in real time.
Exactly.
Because that's what, again, social media is just, it's a construct of how we communicate as humans, right?
Very much so.
We want that like, we want the comment, we want the share. Just like in real life, we want the head nod, we want the smile, we want someone to restate our thoughts.
Very much so. Absolutely.
So it's all the same bucket, and you know, a lot of times, especially in today's day and age, it's easy when we're on Zoom calls to check out on the phone, to text. Always easy to check out and think that your stuff is more important than everybody else's.
Right.
But in real time, in real conversations, that doesn't happen.
Correct.
You can't just put it down.
Right.
So that's the challenge. I think that's the challenge for all of us across all generations, to put our phone away, to get back to having conversations, and then, to your point, actively listening.
Absolutely.
John, really appreciate you. I know I'm going to take a lot out of this. I know I'm going to learn more about this, and now I'm going to follow you as you're teaching, going across, the state, the Midwest, the country, teaching people how to actively listen.
Sounds good.
I really appreciate your time.
All right, thanks a lot, Andy.
Thank you. Now, are you ready to take the stage here at Serendipity Labs? Or do you know someone that has a story to share? Help us feature the best talent on YGTV by heading over to YoungGunsMovement.com and applying to appear on the show. YG Stage is powered by Circle Electric, sponsored by Fleet Farm, Health Payment Systems, and Bell Bank Mortgage. Now's your chance. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, listen to our episodes wherever you've taken your podcast, and follow us on social media. As always, I'm Andy Wines, President of Green Up Solutions. Thanks for tuning in.